Have you ever found yourself wondering, when does she actually start missing me? Maybe you've tried everything. Showering her with compliments, texting her frequently, making sure you're always available. Yet somehow the connection feels stale, the spark dim. Let me share something with you, a truth so transformative it could flip everything you think you know about attraction on its head. Here's the reality. Women don't miss you when you're constantly in their lives, always at their beck and call. No, they start missing you when you create space, when you lean into the power of absence. But don't mistake this for game playing or manipulation. This isn't about trickery. It's about tapping into fundamental human psychology, principles deeply rooted in Stoicism and the timeless dynamics of human connection. Does that surprise you? Good, it should. Because most men, even the so-called high-value ones, overlook these powerful triggers. They focus on external factors, status, wealth, appearance, believing these alone will keep her interested. But here's the kicker. None of that will matter if there's no room for her to miss you, no mystery to sustain her desire. In this video, we'll unlock 5 psychological secrets that make women crave your presence, even when you're not around. By the end, you'll know how to harness these principles with authenticity and intention, transforming not just your relationships, but the way you approach life itself. Let's dive in. 1. Self-sufficiency, the core of attraction. What's the most magnetic quality a man can possess? It's not his bank account, his perfectly tailored suit, or even his chiseled jawline. It's self-sufficiency, the quiet confidence of a man who doesn't need anyone to complete him. A man who stands strong on his own foundation, driven by his own goals and passions. This isn't just attractive, it's irresistible. But why? Women are inherently drawn to men who exude independence. Why? Because self-sufficiency signals that you're in control of your life, emotionally resilient, and not reliant on her or anyone else for your happiness. Think about it. Who's more compelling, the man constantly seeking validation, or the one who's so engrossed in his own growth and success that he naturally inspires others to be around him? When you cultivate a fulfilling life outside of your relationship, you become someone she admires and respects. You're not waiting by the phone or rearranging your schedule to accommodate hers. Instead, you're busy chasing your dreams, hitting the gym, mastering new skills, and building a life so rich that she's intrigued to be a part of it. This doesn't mean ignoring her. It means showing her that your world is already vibrant and whole. Imagine you're deeply passionate about your work, your hobbies, or even your community. You're driven, disciplined, and consistently showing up for yourself. What message does this send? That you respect yourself enough to prioritize your growth. And here's the secret. Women respect men who respect themselves. But self-sufficiency isn't just about external achievements. It's also about emotional independence. Are you grounded in your values? Can you handle life's ups and downs with grace and composure, embodying the stoic principle of remaining unfazed by external chaos? This kind of emotional resilience is rare, and it creates a profound sense of trust and admiration. She'll know that you won't crumble under pressure, nor will you become overly dependent on her for your sense of worth. When you're self-sufficient, you naturally create a dynamic where she begins to value and crave your time and attention. She'll start wondering, what's he doing? Who's he becoming? What new adventures is he pursuing? These thoughts, fueled by curiosity and admiration, are the seeds of longing. And this longing, it's the foundation of deep, lasting attraction. But here's the twist: self-sufficiency isn't just a strategy to make her miss you. It's a lifestyle, a commitment to becoming the best version of yourself. The more you invest in your own growth, the more you'll realize that true fulfillment doesn't come from external validation but from the satisfaction of living a purposeful life. And when you live with purpose, she won't just miss you, she'll be inspired by you. So ask yourself, what areas of my life need more attention? Am I truly self-sufficient, or am I still seeking external approval? The answers might surprise you, but they'll also set you on a path toward becoming the man she can't stop thinking about, the man who, even in his absence, leaves an unforgettable mark on her heart. Let her miss you not because you've disappeared, but because your presence, your essence, and your purpose are so compelling that she can't help but long for more. 2. The power of absence. Why distance creates desire. Let me ask you this. Have you ever been surrounded by something so often that you stopped appreciating it? Maybe it was a beautiful view you used to admire every day, or a favorite meal you couldn't get enough of, until you had it every single day. Over time, the magic faded, didn't it? This is the scarcity principle in action. and it applies just as much to relationships as it does to material things. Now, consider this in the context of attraction. When you're constantly available, always texting, always calling, always around, you eliminate any sense of scarcity. You become like that breathtaking view taken for granted, or that once exciting meal that's now just routine. And here's the truth. When your presence is never in question, there's no room for her to miss you. But when you introduce absence, everything changes. Absence doesn't mean playing hard to get or ghosting her. It's about understanding the psychological power of distance. When you're not always there, you create a vacuum, a space where curiosity, longing, and appreciation can grow. Suddenly, she starts replaying your conversations in her mind, remembering the way you made her feel, the things you said, the moments you shared. And the most fascinating part, her memory will often polish these moments, amplifying the positive and glossing over any negatives. Why does this happen? Because absence creates contrast. Just like you appreciate sunshine more after a week of rain, she'll value your presence more when it's not a constant in her life. This isn't manipulation, it's a natural psychological response. You're giving her the gift of perspective, allowing her to see just how much she enjoys your company when you're around. Here's a simple analogy. Imagine you're watching a thrilling TV series. You're hooked on the suspense, the drama, the characters. But what keeps you coming back for more? The fact that you can't watch the entire series in one sitting. Each episode ends, and you're left waiting, anticipating the next installment. That waiting period builds excitement and makes the eventual payoff even sweeter. Your presence, when applied wisely, can create the same effect. So how do you leverage this power of absence without coming across as disinterested or aloof? It's simple. Live your life with purpose. Focus on your own goals, your passions, and your personal growth. When you're naturally busy building your empire, whether it's your career, your fitness, or your side hustle, you'll find that creating space comes effortlessly. And in that space, her mind will do the work for you. She'll start to think, what's he up to? Why hasn't he texted yet? That curiosity, that slight uncertainty, is what keeps her emotionally engaged. It keeps the dynamic fresh and exciting. She'll begin to appreciate every message, every moment with you, because they're no longer expected, they're earned. And here's the best part. When you do reconnect, your time together will feel even more meaningful. She'll be more present, more engaged, and more drawn to you, because she's had time to reflect on what it feels like when you're not there. That emotional distance, when managed properly, strengthens the connection rather than weakening it. Now let's pause for a moment. I want to hear from you. How have you experienced the power of absence in your own relationships? Have you noticed a shift in how people respond to you when you're less available? Share your thoughts in the comments below. I'm curious to hear your stories. And if this insight is resonating with you, make sure to give this video a thumbs up. Every like helps more people discover these transformative principles. By engaging with this community, you're not just learning, you're contributing to a conversation that helps us all grow. So go ahead, like, comment, and let's keep this dialogue going, because the more we share, the more we all benefit. 3. The psychological trigger of uncertainty. Let's talk about one of the most potent, yet often misunderstood forces in attraction: uncertainty. You've probably experienced it yourself. The excitement of not knowing where you stand with someone, the thrill of guessing their next move. That spark of unpredictability can be intoxicating, pulling you deeper into the connection. Now, what if I told you that the same principle applies to how women feel about you? Uncertainty creates emotional tension, and emotional tension is the lifeblood of attraction. When everything in a relationship is predictable, it loses its edge. But when there's an element of the unknown, her mind stays engaged, her emotions heightened. This isn't about being manipulative or unreliable. It's about fostering a dynamic that keeps her interested and invested. Here's how it works. Humans crave certainty, but we're also wired to respond to intermittent rewards. Think about why people get hooked on slot machines. It's not because they win every time they don't. It's the unpredictability of when the next win will come that keeps them pulling that lever. Relationships operate on a similar psychological wavelength. When you introduce moments of unpredictability, you tap into her emotional core, keeping her mentally and emotionally engaged. Imagine this: you're consistent in your communication, but every so often you don't text back right away. Not because you're playing games, but because you're genuinely occupied at the gym, working on a project, or out with friends. Suddenly she finds herself wondering, what's he doing? Why hasn't he replied yet? That brief uncertainty sparks curiosity and, more importantly, investment. She starts to think about you more, replaying moments in her head, imagining what you might be up to. This psychological trigger is rooted in the concept of intermittent reinforcement. When she doesn't know exactly when she'll hear from you or what your next move will be, her brain stays engaged, searching for clues, anticipating the next interaction. And when that interaction finally comes, it feels all the more rewarding. But let's be clear, uncertainty doesn't mean flakeness. This isn't about being unreliable or making her question your intentions. On the contrary, it's about blending consistency with moments of spontaneity. You're there when it matters, but you're not predictable to the point of boredom. You might surprise her with a spontaneous date or an unexpected compliment. Or you might simply take a day to yourself, letting her wonder and miss your presence. What makes this so powerful is that it feeds into the natural rhythm of attraction. When she's left guessing, she becomes more emotionally invested. Her mind starts working overtime, filling in the gaps, and that emotional engagement strengthens the bond between you. It's the same principle that makes a well-crafted story so compelling. Every twist and turn keeps you on the edge of your seat, eagerly anticipating what comes next. Uncertainty also sets you apart from the crowd. Most men fall into the trap of over-communicating, trying to be as transparent and available as possible. While transparency has its place, constant predictability drains the excitement from the connection. By introducing a touch of unpredictability, you keep the relationship dynamic and engaging. She'll come to associate you with a sense of excitement and anticipation, feelings that are deeply tied to attraction. Ultimately, uncertainty isn't about creating anxiety, it's about keeping things fresh and exciting. It's about giving her space to wonder, to miss you, and to appreciate the moments you do share. In doing so, you not only maintain her interest, but deepen her emotional connection to you. So, the next time you find yourself tempted to fill every silence or over-explain your every move, remember the power of a little mystery. Let her wonder, let her anticipate, and watch as her feelings for you grow stronger in the space you create. 4. The push-pull dynamic, mastering emotional tension. Now that we've explored the power of absence and the allure of uncertainty, let's dive into a more advanced psychological tool, the push-pull dynamic. This principle, when understood and applied correctly, can transform the way she feels about you, keeping her emotionally hooked and deeply invested. Here's the question: how do you keep the energy alive in your interactions? How do you strike the perfect balance between showing interest and maintaining your independence? The answer lies in mastering the push-pull dynamic. At its core, the push-pull dynamic is about creating a rhythm, an emotional dance that keeps her engaged. The push represents moments when you lean in, flirting, connecting, and showing her your charm. It's when you let her feel special, desired, and seen. These are the moments when she knows she has your attention. But here's the secret. The push is only half the equation. Without the pull, the dynamic falls flat. The pull is when you step back, creating space and giving her time to process the connection. It's when you focus on your own life, your goals, your passions, and your growth. In this phase, you're not ignoring her, you're simply prioritizing yourself. And it's in these moments that she starts to feel the emotional tension. Why is this so effective? Because humans are wired to crave what they can't fully have. When you create moments of distance after intense connection, she begins to seek out your attention, longing for the next push. The unpredictability of this back and forth keeps the relationship dynamic fresh and exciting. She's never quite sure when the next push will come, and that anticipation heightens her emotional investment. Let's break it down with an example. Suppose you've been having a great conversation over text, banter is flowing, and she's laughing at your jokes. That's your push. Now, instead of dragging the conversation on endlessly, you pause. You might say, "All right, I've got to run, but let's catch up later." That's your pull. You've left her smiling, intrigued, and wanting more. And because you've stepped away on a high note, she'll replay that interaction, eagerly waiting for the next push. This isn't about manipulation or playing games, it's about understanding the natural ebb and flow of attraction. Too much push without any pull can make you come across as overbearing, while too much pull without any push can make you seem distant or uninterested. The magic happens in the balance, where both you and she remain equally invested in the dance. Now, let's take this a step further. The push-pull dynamic isn't just for the early stages of dating. It's a powerful tool for long-term relationships. Over time, many couples fall into routines, losing the spark that initially brought them together. By continuing to apply the push-pull dynamic, you keep the relationship lively and engaging. Even in long-term partnerships, it's important to maintain a sense of excitement and mystery, reminding her that there's always more to discover about you. So how do you know if you're getting it right? Pay attention to her responses. Does she lean in when you pull away? Does she initiate conversations or seek out your attention? If so, congratulations, you're mastering the art of emotional tension. Now I want to hear from you. Have you tried incorporating the push-pull dynamic in your interactions? What results did you notice? Share your experiences in the comments below. And if you're finding these insights valuable, don't forget to like this video. Your engagement not only helps this community grow, but also ensures that more men can discover these game-changing principles. Let's keep the conversation going and learn from each other's journeys. 5. Key takeaway: balancing availability and absence. At this point, you might be wondering, how do I strike the right balance? After all, it's easy to misinterpret these strategies, either leaning too far into absence or becoming overly available in a bid to maintain connection. The truth is, the key lies in a natural balance, one that emerges not from calculated moves, but from living a life driven by purpose and intention. When you're genuinely focused on your own growth, you'll find that balance happens almost effortlessly. You're not creating distance to manipulate her feelings. You're simply prioritizing your time and energy in ways that reflect your values and ambitions. This balance ensures that when you are present, you're fully present, engaged, attentive, and intentional. Here's the reality. Availability is a spectrum. Too much, and you risk becoming predictable, diminishing the thrill of your connection. Too little, and you might come across as disinterested, leading her to question your commitment. But when you live with purpose, you naturally navigate this spectrum, shifting between moments of closeness and periods of focus on your own pursuits. Consider this. When was the last time you were so absorbed in a personal goal or passion that time seemed to disappear? Maybe it was a project at work, a hobby you love, or even a physical challenge like training for a marathon. In those moments, your focus wasn't on how others perceived you, but on the fulfillment of pushing yourself to new heights. This is the state where balance thrives. You're not forcing absence, you're cultivating presence in your own life. This approach also ties back to Stoicism, which emphasizes living according to your values and not being swayed by external circumstances or the need for constant validation. A Stoic man understands that his worth isn't measured by how often he's available to others, but by the integrity of his actions and the clarity of his purpose. When you embody this mindset, your interactions with her will naturally become more meaningful. She'll sense that your time is valuable, not because you're withholding it, but because you're investing it wisely. And when you do choose to spend time with her, it will feel like a gift, a shared moment of connection that she'll cherish even more. The beauty of this balance is that it creates a dynamic where both partners feel valued and respected. You're not just giving her space to miss you, you're also giving her the opportunity to reflect on the relationship and her own feelings. In this space, attraction deepens, fueled by a mutual understanding that neither of you is trying to control or cling to the other. Ultimately, this is what makes relationships thrive. They're not built on constant proximity or relentless pursuit, but on a shared sense of purpose and respect. When you lead with authenticity, confidence, and intention, you'll find that the balance between availability and absence becomes a natural part of your dynamic. And in that balance, true connection flourishes. She will miss you, not because you've disappeared, but because every moment with you feels intentional, valuable, and deeply fulfilling. That's the power of living a life in alignment with your purpose, one where your presence carries weight, and your absence only makes her appreciate you more. So where does all this lead? To a place of empowerment, where you're no longer chasing validation or relying on constant presence to sustain a connection. Instead, you're living with purpose, embodying self-sufficiency, and mastering the subtle art of creating space. These aren't just tactics to spark her interest, they're principles that, when fully embraced, transform you into a man who commands respect, admiration, and genuine attraction. Think about it. When you balance your availability with intentional absence, you're not just maintaining her interest, you're showing her that your time and energy are valuable. When you integrate uncertainty into your interactions, you keep things fresh and exciting, ensuring she's always curious about what's next. And by mastering the push-pull dynamic, you create an emotional rhythm that deepens her connection to you, drawing her closer even in moments of distance. But remember, this isn't about manipulation. It's about growth, yours and hers. By focusing on your own self-improvement, you naturally become the kind of man who inspires, excites, and captivates. A man who embodies the principles of Stoicism, leading a life of purpose and resilience. And in doing so, you give her the space to miss you, appreciate you, and ultimately fall for the authentic you. Here's the truth. Relationships built on genuine connection, mutual respect, and shared growth are the ones that stand the test of time. They thrive on a dynamic where both partners feel valued and inspired. By implementing the principles we've discussed, self-sufficiency, absence, uncertainty, and the push-pull dynamic, you're not just setting the stage for short-term attraction. You're laying the foundation for a deep, lasting connection. Now it's your turn to take action. Reflect on these principles and ask yourself, which of these areas can I start applying today? How can I cultivate a life that naturally enhances my relationships without needing to force or fake anything? The answers lie in your hands, and the journey ahead is yours to embrace. Thank you for joining me on this journey of discovery and growth. If you found value in these insights, consider sharing this video with someone who could benefit from it. And as you continue to explore these ideas, remember, the path to becoming the man she misses starts with becoming the man you're proud to be. Here's to your growth, your purpose, and your relationships thriving in ways you never thought possible. Until next time, stay confident, stay focused, and keep building the life you deserve.